U.S. port workers were back at work today after ending their three-day strike. The Dock Workers Union and the United States Maritime Alliance reached a tentative agreement on wages, extended their current contract until January 15th of 2025. Now, under this tentative deal, wages for port workers will increase more than 61% over 6 years. Sticking point still seems to be automation. So joining us now is Jim Newsome, former CEO of the South Carolina Ports Authority. Jim, it's great to have you on. Welcome.
Happy Friday, Morgan and John.
So there's a lot to get into, but before we get into the actual details around this contract and what it means for the workers and for the ports, first of all, with workers going back to work, what does it mean for some of the pileups we've seen here over the last couple of days and untangling the snags in the supply chain?
Well, the work stoppage has been very short. I think that most retailers anticipated the potential of a work stoppage, so they moved their cargo in advance. Certainly, the cargo statistics show us that. So I don't think the impact is going to be as large as it could have been if the time frame was prolonged.
So we've got a tentative deal on wage increases over 6 years. As I just mentioned, it seems the sticking point is automation. What will it take to get to an agreement there, especially when so much of the existing language is pretty stern around the adoption of automation already?
Well, as you said, there's a whole article. It's Article 11 of the current master contract that deals with automation. It really prohibits full automation. It only allows semi-automation. There's a technology consultation procedure, including a technology committee. And there's certainly implied in that wording that existing workers would be guaranteed security if they were displaced by automation. The reality of life is that it's not necessarily the case that a terminal is going to use automation. I mean, we looked at it in my time at South Carolina Ports. Building a new terminal, we concluded that it didn't make sense. It's 40% more CapEx. We weren't getting any more productivity or space utilization. So it's by no means just the rebuttable fact that people are going to adopt automation. I think the current wording is sufficient to protect workers. I mean, it means I don't know of any case where automation has been employed that workers have not been protected. And that's different than saying that generations of workforce down the road won't be impacted with technology progress. I think what we also have to say is there is automation today. There's automation at Long Beach Container Terminal on the West Coast. It's fully automated. There's semi-automation in most of Virginia's terminals and in Global Terminal in New Jersey. So that does make a competitive element in terms of the cost structure. And obviously, as wages go up, automation is technically more attractive. So I don't think that we can agree to, there can be an agreement to a prescription of automation in perpetuity. That just doesn't make any sense to me. I don't think
Jim,
management would agree to that.
On this wage agreement so far, there's been a lot of talk about the union asking for around 70+%. This is north of 60%, depending on how you look at it. Do you think this wage part of the agreement is fair, especially in the context of West Coast wages?
Absolutely, I do. I mean, the West Coast set the competitive wage with their 6-year contract in 2022. This agreement is about where I thought it would end up, basically $63 an hour after 6 years. This is a high-wage industry. I mean, one has to remember there's a lot of on-call labor required here. Ships come at inconvenient times, and they're often late. So I don't and remember that these wages are reached through the collective bargaining process. It's always been a high-wage industry, will continue to be, and the outcome did not surprise me at all.
Jim Newsome, great to have you on. Thanks for joining us.
Have a nice weekend. Take care.